Yeah, bon fête. Today is vlog day 727. In English, we say Bastille Day. In French, we say le 14 juillet. This is the 14th of July. Got a little haircut out there. Today, whoa, among the goals of resuscitating that plant, which I think is gone, we'll find out. Doesn't look promising. Today I thought it would be a good day to talk about the goals directly, revisit the goal board. In fact, I should probably go, hold on a second. There's a fly on the wall there. Sorry, I had to go downstairs and find this. I packed it away when the room was getting redone, so for those of you who haven't seen this yet, looks like you're still not gonna get a chance to. This is the goal board that I used to have on the wall back here that I keep talking about. On the right I had dreams, and on the left I had the goals that would hopefully, one day lead me to those dreams. I feel like we're just missing a little bit of structure to this, a little bit of architecture. I also have that many countries left to go, 38, 39 countries. We'll work on this today. In the meantime, I'm gonna get some work done, and then I'll come back. I'm gonna do some thinking on this that I haven't done yet, that I've been meaning to do. That I've kind of been doing loosely, as I go. But I'm gonna give it some dedicated thought, and then I'm gonna come back to you. In the meantime, I need coffee because, coffee. Second one is a tiny one. The first one was much bigger. I've been working for like the last 6 hours. Okay, paper time. Paper. Now pen. Don't worry, not that much happened without you. Although a couple things happened without you. Come on. We're gonna go over this in a second. But the other thing was really nice. Deb, your birthday present arrived. Deb knew it was my birthday coming up, and she went to find Moose. Hold on, let's see if we can get this out of here without breaking anything. I did not know that they did this, but Find Moose makes une petite mousse. And this is a box full of craft beer. It's a 6-pack. That got hand delivered to me today of like a variety of delicious beers that I don't think I've ever tried any of these before. So that's exciting. Thank you very much. Happy birthday to me. If for those of you wondering, my birthday is actually in a week. So, and I don't talk about it much because birthdays and I don't necessarily get along the best. That's a whole other conversation actually. In the meantime, what we're gonna talk about is a new version of the goal board. These are already a little bit crinkled on the walk home, which is okay because it's gonna be on theme here shortly. Let me explain. Now, before we go about explaining the new one, there is one thing we need to do, which is mark a couple things off the old one because things have been marked off. Not on the dream side, that's pretty ridiculous, but we're getting close actually on a couple. All right, just to bring about some completion for those of you who are completionists, Alex, I know this would drive me crazy. It's driving me crazy now that it's doing, hold on a second. Oh, it does not want to roll the other way. Just roll it up like that for a second, and then hopefully it calms down. We made some progress, not as much as I would have hoped, but on selling Agnar's box, we revised it, packaged it. Getting the agent is the part that ain't happening. So there's that. I definitely have vlogged every day for another year, which is great. The collab per month thing, this is a good example of how things shift. So I did this for a while, realized that collabs aren't really necessarily my thing. It's not that I don't want to do collaborations with other YouTubers. It's just that the style of video that I'm making doesn't 100% lend itself to it, I guess. It's not so much an important goal for me at this point. It could help with growth in some ways, for sure, if I met the right people, but at the same time, it's I'm happy to collab with friends, just hang out and do stuff, but we can talk about collabs another time. I don't know about the country situation. I need to double check. We're either at 38 or we've knocked through 38, I can't remember. And then we knocked this one out of the park. 10K subs, boom. And that was a strategy thing that's also going out the window. We're not talking about that stuff in the same way anymore. I was doing pretty well running 3 or 4 times a week actually, so that's pretty good. And this, obviously, the room to chateau situation is still kind of on pause. So we're gonna have to work on that. We're getting closer to going full-time on Patreon. Getting very close to that. We're gonna talk about that today. But the thing is that what we need to do is switch things up. And I'm gonna use another metaphor that I think is actually a little bit more helpful for me personally to, keep this in perspective and keep it from being a little weird. As you saw, there's certain things that just kind of got shot off. Didn't really worry about those anymore. There are other things that aren't even on the board, that should be on the board. And the dream side of things was it was kind of a disjointed list. It's not nearly the coalesced destination that I need it to be. And I'll talk more about that. In here, I've done a little bit of pre-work. I've been trying to think through like, how would I want my new goal board to look and feel? What would be the purpose? And I want to break things down in a little bit of a different way. I'm going to do this in marker so that's big and easy to see. We're going to make ourselves, okay, first off, we're going to call it a board, then we're going to call it a map. And we're going to start with 4 basic quadrants. This is just a guide. You can feel free to draw along with me if you really want to, if you want to do this. But the goal board, which is going to become a goal map. Because, well, I'll explain that in a second. I'm breaking these up to just try and put my thumb on what it is I should be doing when and categorize things a little bit more. So on this side still, we have goals. And on this side, we still have, that looks like a B. This is harder to do. Okay, that squiggle just means dreams, all right? That squiggle is for dreams. On this side we have goals, on this side we have dreams. I kind of am breaking them down into like personal. So this is like personal and career, which actually works out better for the long term. So we'll go fun, work, and we'll just do this. Personal and career. The reason I do this is twofold. On the goal side of things, I think it's really important to remember that fun goals, like personal goals, are really important and they help you get through the day to day. So putting that up at the top to be of a higher priority is something I need to see a little bit just visually because I tend to put work first all the time to the detriment of like my personal health. And then work goals come second, but are very, very important because they need to be driving you up towards your long-term career dreams. Like what are the big career dreams that you have for yourself? I think these are the ones that really drive a lot of big decisions and a lot of big, plans for your life. On the flip side, we go down to the personal ones down here, which are kind of fun or like personal life, personal health, those kinds of things. Not to say that it's less important than this, but these ones kind of get fulfilled as this one gets fulfilled. And this, to me, is more important to have an idea of what this is, because then this can facilitate this. The more successful you are in this, the more you can be successful at this if you have big dreams for your personal life. But if you don't have this clearly defined, then this just kind of consumes everything and you never end up getting what you want here. That makes sense? So if you want to have like a good healthy lifestyle where you're traveling or you have a family or you have your white picket fence or you have whatever, if you don't have that clearly defined down here, then the career monster is just going to consume it all and you'll never get there. But if you know what it is, you will. Conversely, if you're just aiming for this, like the tool to get all of those things is your career, is this. So it seems like natural that you should grow this first. That's your principal goal, and then develop this. But in the short term, having fun goals like the 40 countries, that kind of stuff goes here. So as you can see, I've already done this in smaller pen. I have my fun goals, work goals, fun dreams, career dreams, whatever. These are the things that are going to be pushing me out and growing me. Now, this is the stuff that I was going to talk about a little bit more today, as far as what are those career dreams that I have that are actually driving me forward. What are the things that are going to drive my decision-making process, basically? When I think of life as a decision tree, and basically you've got endless opportunities that you could pursue so many different things, but you only have so much time, you only have so many resources, and at the end of the day, you can't actually pursue everything that is actually possible. So thinking in terms of, okay, what do I really want from life? What is it down the road that I really want more than anything so that I can cut out everything else and move myself towards that one thing? So I really think the career dreams end up like directing us in that way more than anything, like I explained. So the things that I was going to talk about that I've shared a little bit about, but I've just been so scared to actually pursue myself for so long. I'm just scared to fail in public especially, and you know what? That needs to be over. The biggest thing is the books, the stories that I have to tell, I want to turn into movies myself one day. I want to be a part of directing and producing them. In order to do that, there are a lot of steps that have to happen in between. Books have to be sold, stories have to, be loved, people have to really be behind it, there has to actually be money there have to be people there. So how do you make decisions that get you closer to that? How do you actually weave your way through the madness that is building basically your own production company and getting to the place where you can create your own movies? So that is a really big thing right there. And from that, like that's kind of the longest destination. We'll get to the destinations here in a second. In between now and that, you have some things like getting 1 million subscribers. What? Because on the old goal board, it said 100,000 subscribers, but that almost feels doable now. It doesn't feel quite entirely doable. It's still out there a ways, but if we're dreaming really big, 1 million subscribers, and then being full-time creative even before that, like we're getting very close. I still couldn't pay rent if I had to based on what I'm making now, but thankfully I'm still in a window of time where I'm not worried about that. So when the day comes, that's kind of the way I think about it. Like if I had to get an apartment tomorrow, would I consider myself full-time on this? And I'm not quite there yet. So that's out there a little ways. The fun dreams are things that we talked about before, like having, I actually want to get my own apartment here in Paris. I don't want to be a homeowner. I don't want to buy a place just to own a place in a way, but I do feel like buying a place in Paris is something I really, really want that's big enough to have my own studio in it, like a creative studio, and with space to host. I really want to make sure that I can actually host friends or family when they're coming through town. Of course, French citizenship is closer to us now. It feels more like a reasonable goal that I still gonna have to work really hard to get towards, but it's not so much a dream. There aren't big things between me and that are out of my control entirely. Life is totally out of your control, so that everything could go sideways. But hopefully, we're on our way. Getting a pilot's license with my dad is one of those things I think would be a lot of fun still. And then being a guest on certain shows, like late night shows or public radio shows, whatever it is, like just things that I think would be really, really cool to do that I know that I have to be successful at to get. And that's why some of these that are fun dreams are actually a little bit of a crossover between fun dreams and career dreams. They kind of fall in between. They're fun, they're things I really want, but are only gonna come if I'm successful at the career that I'm setting out to try and be successful at. And of course, then on this side, we have the fun goals like finishing off our 40 countries. I really wanna make sure to hit that. Trying to hit it before the end of the vlog. We will see if that happens. Room de Chateau, finishing this place off, which helps me to settle more in France, and that's leading us in the direction of citizenship and blah, blah, blah. And then of course on the work goals, selling Agnar's box. I was hoping to sell it to a traditional house. I'm not really sure that that's gonna be even possible at this point, but at least having it in print and getting it to you. And then writing a book on, like a nonfiction book about my experiences in moving abroad and coming here. People keep asking me about that. Would you be interested in that? If you would, say so in the comments below. I will take it into consideration and why and what you would want me to actually write about. That'd be helpful. I put 100,000 subs over here, which is gonna be farther out towards the middle. Now, I keep talking about distances and in the middle and destinations and stuff, which brings me to an analogy that I've used before. The analogy of a map and a ship. And the idea being that you start out over here in the land of the known, and you head off into the unknown. And you have these blobs of islands or continents that you're pretty sure are out there somewhere and you're aiming for, but you don't know what's in the middle, and that's what you're going to discover along the way. You do have ideas kind of going out, and when you get closer to that, what the signs will be that you're getting close to each one. Like I said, we've got the film production company over here with 1 million subs over here in full time before that, and you see that, but in the middle, it's unknown. Who knows? Maybe I should finish drawing the bigger version of this, and then I can better share it with you. And there you have it. I actually went for a run and, changed. In the interim, before I started drawing, I needed to get it done. I was kind of feeling antsy. So, the goal map. Seems like a fun way to do this. Obviously, everything that happens in here is a giant unknown. There's no way to know for sure what's going on. But the idea is that if you have, ships, I used to live on ships. You can learn about that later, a ship. You need to have a destination in mind. You have to have an idea. So over here, this blob that doesn't actually have much information in it, any information in it, it's kind of like that hopeful future that I have for my life. Like the level of freedom and success and friendship and relationship and everything else that I'm hoping that all of this is steadily going to build towards. Remains down here is kind of like a personal thing that I'm happy to fill in. I'm happy to share more with you, but also kind of I'm leaving open-handed because you never know what life's going to throw at you. And at the end of the day, all this kind of stuff out here, the goals that we were talking about, the different little islands and mini continents and whatever, are just headings. They're just like, okay, this is where we're going to go. See if we can get there. And as we go out here, like you'll see the 100,000 subs is out here a little bit farther, and full-time creatives kind of on the way, then 1 million subs and whatever. There's this crossover happening that I was talking about earlier. And you never know what you're gonna find in the middle. And that's when you fill in the map. You fill in what's going on in the middle and find out more. Obviously I need to draw some sea monsters and some other things in here. I could have added some more details, so maybe I'll do that here later. But that's basically the idea, is over here I have my personal ship and my career ship. And it's heading this way, and this one's heading this way. They'll cross paths in the middle frequently and hopefully help each other out along the way. And then we'll see where we end up. That's kind of how I think about the goals over here and the dreams over here right now. And I'm gonna keep refining this and working on this as we go. But in the meantime, I thought this is a fun way to do it. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe and stick around to see what happens in the sea of the unknown. Because, I'd like to see what happens in the sea of the unknown. And yeah. Otherwise, what are your dreams and goals? You can let me know below if you feel like sharing. And I was thinking about making one of these more blank template to share. So if you're interested in that, I can always start working on that at some point here when I have the time. Anywho, I'm gonna leave it there, and I will see you bright and early tomorrow morning for whatever madness ensues here in Paris, which is gonna be Bastille Day, July 14th. I'm hoping to go see the parade and hopefully get fairly close to the fireworks, but we'll figure that out as we go because it is gonna be a madhouse. So let's see you tomorrow.